Hello, Dianette. Welcome to the Born or Made podcast. Glad to have you on today.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
Yeah. So, first thing I always like to ask is, so where am I talking to you from right now? So, where are you at?
I just moved to Henderson, Nevada.
Nevada. Really? And do you like it out there?
I have been here less than a week, so still to be determined.
Ask you in 6 months.
Yeah.
There you go. Why Nevada?
Well, I just moved from the mountains
Okay.
and I was just feeling a little too isolated.
Okay.
Wasn't close to any friends or family. So here I've got some really close friends nearby.
Really? Okay. Well, that's nice. Yeah, I know life gets on, you do like to have a comfort around people there. It's amazing how we gravitate towards people. And I do a little bit of reading on interviews and don't spend a lot because I like to know, but I've seen you spend a lot of time by yourself.
Well, yeah,
I mean,
training, it's hard to get people to go on a 4-hour hike with you on a regular basis. So yeah.
yeah, that's my point. Yeah, I used to be a big runner and I actually didn't like to run with people. I actually tended to enjoy doing it myself. That was tended to be my time alone. And it's amazing how many problems you can solve in the world while you're out there pounding your feet and being isolated.
Exactly.
So where were you born originally? Were you kind of give me your life's journey here on the early sides.
The early side, I was born in Los Angeles, California,
Okay.
to an unwed mother.
Okay.
My twin brother and I were immediately given up for adoption and raised in La Mirada, California.
Really? Now, did you
Mhm.
stay with your brother?
We did. We came very close to being separated because someone had misdiagnosed me with a heart condition when actually I just had pneumonia. So kind of a last minute thing. We stayed together.
Oh, what a blessing. I mean, really, I can imagine. I mean, think about how different your life would have been. And at some point you would have found out, I guess today, of course, it may have been 30 or 40 years old now because, that you didn't have access to that information. It was in some stinking file cabinet in some place somewhere.
Well, when I was 19, I found that file cabinet.
Did
I
you
actually
really?
found my birth mother when I was 19.
So you've actually reconnected with her?
I did. Yeah,
Wow.
there was a show on in Los Angeles way back when called INLA, and they had this, investigator who would reconnect birth parents and their children. And I called him up and he quoted me some outrageous price. And I said, well, I'm a poor college student. I don't have money for this. And he said, well, you're not serious. You don't really want to find her. And I thought, oh, challenge accepted. And within 2 weeks, I had her name, phone number, and was flying out to meet her.
Yeah. So there was a little thing called the internet didn't exist. Cell phones didn't, let's see, 40 years ago, it would have been a press to even have a cell. Well, they didn't exist actually 40 years ago. I'm thinking for me. So like, wow, that would have been pretty much impossible. Well, congratulations. So you great parents raising you. So were you into sports? Were you a reader? I mean, kind of take me through your life as a kid and how it kind of came through to college.
Crazy kind of childhood. Parents were alcoholics.
Awesome.
Divorced, yeah, divorced when I was in kindergarten. My mom was lived with my mom, thank goodness, and she was a huge reader. So I got a love of books from her. Um, and yeah, I was a cheerleader and a lot of dance classes. Did not do sports. Sports were for boys. Um, but I did love. We'd go camping and but we'd stay in a motorhome. I had a crazy stepfather who, I would run him over with a car if he were alive and in front of me. Um, so we'd go camping and we weren't allowed to get dirty or muddy. But I just remember exploring in the woods and I thought, gosh, I wonder if there's ever a way to make money doing this. For some reason, I loved it. And as it turned out, that's what I ended up doing.
Yeah. So you go to college. What'd you go to college for?
Um, well, business and management
Okay.
is what I got my degree in. but ended up being a stay-at-home mom, which I'm grateful for because that was, that was fun for me. And yeah, didn't really use my degree.
I'm married to a woman like that. 40, we got together 40 years. We've been married. We'll be married 40 years this August. And I can remember, so what do you want to do? She says, I just want to be a mom. And I thought, what a great thing. And, look, I was very fortunate, had a great mom and man, I mean, what a great job. I mean, hard, like stuff we do now. Like I as a dad, I couldn't do it. I mean, like literally she would leave for 2 hours. I'd be like, oh, when are you getting home? So good on you, getting to do that. Cause it really is a great thing. So
I'm grateful for it. I always wanted to be the Kool-Aid mom where the kids all played at my house
Yep.
because my mom worked full time and I came home to an empty house every day. And I didn't want that for my kids. And then also my kids were raised in Malibu, so it was hard to have a career and drive down PCH to somewhere and try to get home. It was a lot. So I'm very grateful that I got to do that.
So how many children?
3.
Okay. So you were dancer, you reader, did you start because that's the age they started. Now sports are big now, like as you already know. So did you start getting into sports with them and then that kind of started going, huh?
No.
Really?
What happened was, so with my kids, the minute they could walk, they were in some activity.
Uh-huh.
But let's see, all of my kids were little. My youngest, I think, was 3 when I finally did my first thing, which was climbing Mount Whitney with 10 of my girlfriends. And that is what started it for me.
Really? And you just kind of like, huh, this is, of course, got back to nature, right? So that was one thing.
Yeah.
And then there was suddenly this challenge, which, you made nonchalant, oh, I was a dancer. Well, anybody who's ever tried to dance actually finds out it's actually really hard. And so you were athletic and you could put one foot in front of the other. So you climb this, okay. So you're like, okay, I checked the box, but you're like, huh. So what was the next progress to that?
Well, actually, and dance has been a perfect thing for mountaineering and racing because of the balance, which came in handy through the ice falls in Everest. But so what happened after that first climb, which as soon as I hit the summit, which I discuss in the book, I was addicted. My first thought was, what's next?
Really?
And so just started knocking them off, one thing after the other, which then led me to meeting Mark Burnett and his wife, Diane, at the time. And, he said, you should try my race. And so things athletically for me, that's when they really kicked off, was when I started training for adventure racing.
So you start training. So clearly, are you a great athlete or do you just have incredible mental? I mean, so what do you think you're right there? I'm just asking like on that side, what do you think works for you?
Definitely the mental part.
Yeah.
I'm not winning any races.
Yeah. Okay. That makes me feel better because I've never won a race.
Yeah, the one time I got second place was because everybody after me had quit. We were the last 2 people standing. So,
yeah,
it was more mental. And, I didn't know the difference between a mountain bike and a road bike. I knew nothing. And I don't even think I could run around the block. If you paid me to. So it was mental and the excitement of it and wanting to get better and better and better. Once I knew what adventure racing was and how much fun it was, I really wanted to be the best.
Really. And it just kind of clicked.
It clicked, and it's just so much fun. And, I was never the best, but I was the best that I could be at it, which was good enough. And
yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah. I just finished writing my first book. It's hopefully it'll be out in a couple of months or whatever. And I always talk about not plugging my deal, but like be the best version of you that you can be. And that's clearly what you're doing. Cause most of us never win. I think I may have come in third in my age group, maybe once running, and I've run hundreds of races, but I was never great. I tracked everybody and saw the points and kind of measured myself. But, if I was kind of in the top 10 in my region, I felt like I'd kind of done something because, as you know, you've done most of the people that win these things are typically collegiate athletes or some sort of, they were naturally, when you were dancing, they were already, when I was out riding horses, they were already running, and things like that. So they had that God-given gift, and good on them, but I have more respect for people like you because it's not something that you just walk up and go, wow, I'm a great runner. You go, I'm going to be the best I can be. I mean, that's a testament to your will and strength. So sorry, I didn't mean to talk so much. So you start doing adventure racing. So you think, okay, so I saw some stuff. You've run how many of these races now and different stuff and
I've
approximately?
probably done over 50 events total, but as far as adventure racing, the expedition length, I think I've done about 12. I'd have
Really?
to really count, but
Yeah, no, but that's still that's crazy. How's your body holding up?
um, well, it does. All of those things do catch up with you.
Yeah.
I'm wearing a few lidocaine patches
Okay.
now and again. Yeah, no, it's it catches up, and I know people, from the very first race, the doctors are always warning you, like, yeah, this sport's not good, but I look back and I just had so much fun and so many amazing experiences that it's worth the few aches and pains I have now.
So you said you did your daughter, you said, or your first child, I remember, daughter was 3 or youngest, which one?
My youngest, my
So,
youngest was 3.
so you're late 20s at this point, 30s? What?
I think I was 28 when I climbed Whitney for the first time.
Okay. So, wow. I mean, okay. And then you just kind of got it. And so you've been doing this now for 20, 30, 40 years. I don't know. Not trying to show your age, but
Yeah.
I don't care, but
I
that's,
think 20, 25, 26 years.
wow, that's amazing to be doing that long. And I don't know that many people that have stuck with that kind of event that long. I have a buddy of mine that does these crazy bike rides and runs. He does 150 milers and stuff and, running. And it's like, you're crazy. So you get into all this, but then so suddenly as I was looking and obviously the thing you really clear is like, oh, she just happened to have climbed all 7 summits. And I'm like, well, I know what all of those for the most part are. And I'm like, that has Mount Everest in it too. And so what in the, like, that is just mind blowing that you would want to climb all 7. So what gave you this inspiration to suddenly do this? Cause this is serious.
Um, I don't know. I kind of had that idea in my head, except I was terrified of the Lhotse face. I don't like immediate exposure, and I've grown up having falling dreams my entire life. So
Really?
that was the one thing that I thought, oh, I'll never climb Everest. But then I read a book, and the man's description in this book of the Lhotse face and the steps and the ropes, I thought, oh, I can do that. And so in 1999, when I first climbed, when I did Kilimanjaro the first time, that's when I decided I'm going to try to do the 7 summits. And people laughed and said whatever, but I just started knocking them off. I think it took me 11 years because, for most of that, I was a single mom. And so I just did one every year or two, and all of a sudden they were done.
So you go Kilimanjaro.
Mhm.
And then where do you go after that? What's number 2 at that point?
Elbrus in Russia.
Okay. And so what's unique about that one? I've heard of Kilimanjaro, and again, I don't know these. So then tell me what's so unique about that one, the next one. I mean,
Well, that it was in Russia,
okay.
and it's easier to get vodka there than it is water. So that was
Really?
interesting. Um,
Why not?
um, yeah, it was just interesting. You're flying on an airplane in country, and the little trays don't stay up, and the seats just rock back and forth. We're putting our ice axes in the overhead container that didn't even have a door flap. So if something went wrong, we had ice axes falling on us. It
Kink.
was just,
Yeah, right in the
it was
head.
interesting. Yes, it was shocking. It was eye opening.
Yeah. So you think, oh, it's so safe here. And then you get there and you're like, wow, it actually is very safe in America.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
wow.
like our rules.
So you go there, then so what's number 3?
Gosh, I think number 3, I mean,
Yeah,
I
that's
want
fun.
to say Vinson.
Okay, where's
Yeah, I
that?
think Vinson was number 3. So Vinson is in Antarctica.
Okay, I didn't know that was there. So that's okay. So you don't just hop on an airplane and get there.
No, that was a schlep. Um, an amazing airplane takes you down to the ice. It was an Aleutian, I think it Russian built. That in itself was worth the plane ticket. Just an amazing endeavor.
So when you go in there, is it like ice everywhere? I mean, because there's nothing green, right? So
Mm-mm.
how do you see depth when you're like? I never thought about that. You just said. I mean, you go in and you look around, everything is white. So
Well, there are mountains there, so you see a lot of brown.
oh, there
You know,
is. Okay,
yeah,
okay. So
and
I
the runway is kind of blue because it's blue ice.
because it's on
So
water,
there's some features.
or is it because it's a glacier?
Probably a glacier.
Probably a glacier. Yeah, yeah. So you land on these things that have skis.
No, it had. Well, I think it had wheels, but it doesn't have brakes. So the plane, when you land on that ice, I think it was reverse
Yeah,
thrusters that
reverse
they
thrust,
used.
and they throw the flaps up and air brakes.
Yeah, so that was interesting. But when they lowered the back of the plane, that thing
Yeah,
drops
the cargo.
open.
It's a cargo plane.
Yes, and you step out. That to me was what was shocking because it was brilliant white, and it's light all day long, 24 hours a day. So that was the first shocking thing.
Really? So does it get low enough where you kind of see some darkness, or is it just oh,
I just remember it being, 24/7 of light.
really? Wow. So you get this, so you land, and then so how far do you have to hike to get to the base, and then start?
So from there, we're at a big base area
Okay.
that people fly in there for all sorts of different reasons and different expeditions. But then we get on a smaller plane and we fly to the true kind of base area of Vinson. And from there, we hiked or climbed maybe a week or so. I don't remember the exact, but maybe a week or so.
Really? And so how much so do you have people helping you? So when, like I know what do they call Sherpas is what they call them? Or
Um, Sherpas only work on Everest.
okay, because that's the only where I've
The
ever heard it. So
Sherpas,
that's why.
yeah, they're from Everest area. They're Sherpa. That's their culture, and then porters work in Africa, and they kind of stick with Kilimanjaro. So the other mountains, you are carrying everything.
So you got to have a guide of some sort, right? I mean, you're obviously not just going, "Hey, let's
Yep.
go climb this mountain." So you got somebody you've acknowledged. They're telling you kind of you obviously have your checklist, which you've already probably very
Yep.
good at. Um, and you just meet this person for the first time, like, "Hey, Susie. Hey, Bob. I guess we're climbing that thing." Is that kind of how it works?
So it's done beforehand.
Okay.
I climbed the first of the 7 summits with Alpine Ascents,
Okay.
and they were based in Washington State, and they were so good that I used them. I ended up using them for all of my climbs. It's safety for me because I have 3 kids was the number one factor. And you're spending so much money that you kind of want to do it right the first time. And so with Alpine Ascents, now this is my third climb with them. I had known the guide because we were going to do another climb together. But as far as the rest of the climbers, yeah, it's usually you show up and you meet at the hotel the first night in whatever town you're meeting in. And yeah, a lot of these people become lifelong friends.
So this makes me think something. So you show up, you're going to have somebody that's maybe on the borderline crazy on this stuff. So you get in the queue, let's say, right? You're going up this mountain. You go, okay, this guy or gal's crazy. So I'm going to get in front of them or behind them. I mean, is that stuff that enters your mind? Cause it's sure entering mine right now.
Well, I have been on a rope with someone who's crazy on more than one occasion. And there's not a lot you can do about that except request to be on a different rope, which doesn't always work out. And as far as once you're on a rope, you can't pass someone.
That makes sense.
So all you can do is, take it inward, keep your mouth shut, and just, be as safe as you can and as aware as you can.
And know that you're getting up early tomorrow to beat that person to the rope first.
Yeah, kind of the guides would tell us which rope to be on, especially if you're on a team where everyone requests not to be on a rope with that person. Someone has to be tied to them, and the goal is just to be safe.
Be safe, yeah.
And you do whatever it takes.
Yeah, you crack a bone up there. They're not going, hey, call 911. You come pick this lady up. She just broke her leg. It's like, it's an event.
Yeah. And the main thing is, when you're roped, the main thing is making sure someone doesn't fall. So say that crazy person does trip and fall, you need to be aware and self-arrest. And I've had that happen where, that has exactly happened.
So, because I don't know what I'm talking about. So you're telling me you're hooked here, they're hooked here, or vice versa. If you fall, this person below you is really catching you because somehow or another you're hooked in at that point. Is that how that works? And it hooks and you're kind of...
You're not, if you're on a rope,
okay,
usually you're not hooked into the mountain. You're only hooked in the person in front of you, behind you, or both. If someone falls, doesn't matter where they are on the rope. If they fall, the rest of the people on the rope need to self-arrest. Otherwise, that person can bring down the entire rope team.
So what does that mean when you say is it self-arrest? Meaning, are you grabbing a hold, spike? You're doing, at that point, you're trying to lock into the side of the mountain?
Yeah, with an ice axe into the ice in the side of a mountain.
Holy cow. And you're not just like, you could potentially fall and you could die.
Yeah, it almost happened on Denali. It was bad. And the person who was falling, and normally you would shout out, falling, so that everyone could hear.
Sure.
Because you're not necessarily looking straight ahead when you're on a rope. You're looking down at the ice, planting your crampons.
That's right.
And, if someone falls and there are two people in front of you, you might not know it until it's too late. Fortunately, someone else saw this person falling, yelled out, and we all threw our ice axes down. And you're just looking at the little tip of your ice axe into this blue ice, and just praying that it holds.
Wow. So, because obviously people panic, right? So they may not have said anything and they just, you don't know, but
I don't know why.
Yeah, you never know. That's right. I'm just talking about, from my standpoint, so, wow. Okay. So you get to this one. This was in Antarctica, you said?
No, this one was where that happened. It was Denali.
The Denali, but I'm saying, yeah, sorry. So I was number 3, you were in Antarctica.
Yeah.
Okay. So you get to the top. So is coming down easier?
Not always, because now coming down, you can actually see how steep things are. But that one is not a very steep or difficult mountain. So that one was fine up and down.
Yeah, I made the mistake. This will really tell you how great of a climber I am. I made the mistake of climbing a pyramid with my two oldest children down in Mexico. All they had was a rope. Didn't look that bad. We get to the top of this thing. I get to this top of this thing and I look down and I'm like, oh my God, I have my 2 little children and I have to go down these. And these rocks are nothing as crazy as your stuff. And I'm like, oh my God. And halfway down, I'm like, if somebody up there falls, and it's literally a rope hooked to some eye hooks bolted in this, 2,000-year-old pyramid. And after that, when you said, that's why I was asking, because to this day, that's the only time I ever did anything like that. It scared the crap out of me. It was coming down. Going up was easy. I was scared to death. Now I had my children, so the panic level was higher. So this one was serious. So then what's number 4?
Number 4. Okay, let me write this down. So
that's fine.
Elbrus.
Nobody's going to fact
Um,
check this.
gosh, I'm gonna say it was Denali.
Okay. So you go Denali, a little crazy, but you get to the top.
Yeah.
And now
And then
you've had a life altering experience, and you're like, you get to the bottom, you're like, ooh, that was a little scary, but you're like, you know what? I'm going to do number 5. I mean, you were like, oh, well. I mean, literally you're thinking that, or did you at least pause?
well, after we got to the top, it was one of our rope members dropped off. So it was now 3 of us.
Okay.
The guide, myself, and another climber. He collapses right after we turn around to start going down. And like, so now he has to be short roped to the guide. And, it added a few hours to getting down, and it was kind of a cluster, but yeah, we get down with that. I was very happy when that climb was over. But now I know, at that point I only had 2 or 3 left. And so,
Still,
but
though,
yes, that was 4. I only had 3 left. And the hard ones, except for Everest, were over.
okay. So now we go number 5. What's that one?
Aconcagua, no. Number 5 was Carstensz Pyramid.
So why do they call it pyramid? Is it shaped like it, or what? Is it just the way it looks like from a
I
distance?
don't remember the shape of it. It was just a big rocky thing in the middle of a jungle in Papua New Guinea.
Okay, so this will show you how dumb I am. So this is actually has no ice on it. I just assume all these mountains have ice on them.
This one has no ice on it, but there is a glacier in that jungle, amazingly. But yeah, it was rock, and it was very sharp rock. So you had to have leather gloves on the whole time. And it was fun. It was a fun climb.
So anything you had to worry about, like the pyramid snake that comes out of a hole and grabs you by the neck, or anything like that, or there wasn't anything like that on that?
I just remember a lot of rodents in the base camp, but no, that was just I was with 2 really fun people, and it was just a fun climb.
Really? Yeah. And how was that one coming down? Pretty good. No big.
Fun.
Yeah.
Fun.
Yeah. So did you?
Ropes and rockets.
So I want to digress for a sec. So obviously you're very good at rope climbing, so you had to do a lot of practicing of that prior, right? I mean, like a lot of scaling and stuff like that, or?
When you're just doing it, and then with adventure racing, there were a lot of ropes involved. And you review things. You don't just show up somewhere and
Right.
hop on a rope. They review things with you, because we're not guides, and we're not doing it every day or every week like the guides are. And so they were really good about reviewing just the basic skills. So.
Yeah, and I'm sure safety is just pounded in you constantly. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I could see that. All right, so where are we going? We got through. You said Africa, or wherever. What was that one at?
That was in Papua New Guinea.
New Guinea. So then, where are we going next?
Number 6 was Aconcagua in Argentina.
Argentina. So that had snow at the top?
No, at the time, it was just a lot of dirt.
So I thought there was that one in Argentina that you see that kind of looks like Mount Fuji down there. Is that not the same? There was the one, the big, I thought was in Argentina, that's looks like a volcano basically. It has the snow around the top. That's not down there.
No. It is. I mean, gosh, this was in 2008. I just remember the dirt at the top. There is the Polish glacier on that mountain.
Okay.
But we didn't take that route. So, while it was cold, I don't remember walking in any snow.
Interesting. All right. Another pretty easy descent.
Yeah, just, a lot of straight down. But and a scree. I do remember tons of scree on that one. And then and you go up one way and out the other.
Really?
It was long. It was just long. It was a long day getting out.
Really? Okay, so then now we got are you doing number 7's the most famous one in the world? Mount Everest?
Number 7 was next.
Okay. So that one, did you have to alter your training? Because, I mean, you get up to the top of that thing, right? There's no oxygen. I know you get into some sort of, I've only seen the movies, but I mean, the breathing apparatuses, and I've seen some stuff on it.
So, yeah, the first time I attempted it was 2005. And I didn't summit because I promised my kids I would be home by a certain date, and they ended up not summiting until after that date. So when I went back in 2008, I was just ready for it. I knew that this was going to be the time. And so we started using oxygen again with Alpine Ascents, which, if you're going to do Everest without oxygen, you're probably not going with a guided group. And we got oxygen starting the second time we hit Camp 3 on our way to the summit. So before then, you're just trying to build up all those red blood cells, no O2. And so when you do summit, you are on oxygen, and that kind of helps with the
So when are you getting on
breathing.
oxygen? 14, 16,000 feet, or are you going closer to 11?
So when you land to go to Everest, you are landing at 14,000 feet. Base camp is at 17,000 feet. You're not getting oxygen until around 23,000 feet.
They don't allow pilots to do that for a reason. I don't know why they let you climb a mountain.
Well, you have time to acclimatize, so by the time you get to it, it's okay.
Sure. That sounds very convincing. It's like, I flew back one time in a small plane at I think we flew back I think it was 12,000 feet, and we're not required to have oxygen, or I don't remember what it was. We were right on the press where you could get away with it. I woke up that night after flying from San Antonio, Texas to Fredericksburg, Virginia. And I woke up about 4 o'clock in the morning. I kid you not. And I woke up and I had this headache, and and I was literally thinking of 30 years prior. I'm like, oh my God, what did I drink last night? I was literally like, did I go? I never do that. I'm like, what am I doing? And I was like, and I called my buddy, and he's like, oh, that's oxygen headache. So did you not get those headaches?
Oh, I got them. The first time I went to Camp 1, which was at around 19,000 feet, the little bottle of extra strength Excedrin, which is the best altitude headache medicine you can have, it was right in front of my face, and my head hurt so badly that it took me 20 minutes just to reach for the bottle, unscrew it, and take one. It's like someone's taking an ice pick and just jamming it into your head.
It was literally, I felt like I'd been on some 20-day bender, and I decided to go clean. I'll never forget that. It was like 3 or 4 in the morning. I'm like, I woke up and I literally thought I'd been drinking all night. Like, I didn't know what happened. So at that level, it's got to be incredible.
Yeah, isn't there? Altitude headaches are not pleasant. I try to avoid them.
So you get there, you acclimate. Let's say acclimating means it's 17,000 feet, right? So do you stay there for a day to let your body adjust, or 2, or how does?
When you land at Lukla, which you go from Kathmandu, fly into Lukla, and then you start walking slowly. And every day you're kind of going a little bit higher and sleeping a little bit lower in these beautiful little villages on the way to Everest Base Camp. And so that takes 10 days. Within those 10 days, your body's getting very used to all of this. And so, unless you're going really fast, which you shouldn't be doing, and you're just, having a normal conversation as you're walking, your body acclimates to that altitude. And by the time you get to base camp, you're feeling pretty good.
Really?
So you're not noticing that, oh, now I'm at 17,000 feet.
And you're not moving at a high clip once you're moving. So it's not like you're out trying to run a marathon or something. You're taking very deliberate steps. So you're keeping. So did you happen to monitor your heart rate by any chance?
You know what? I've never done that.
I'd just be interested to know.
I can feel it. Yeah, I'm always aware. Like, if I can't breathe, I'm breathing too quickly, yep, I'll do some pressure breaths, or I'll just slow my pace down a little bit so that I can always be in control of my breathing. And I think that's really helped.
So obviously, I'm sure a lot of people, because obviously Mount Everest is the most famous one. So the ladders, they exist, the ones that are like this, and you're like walking over. Yeah.
Yeah.
So in the crevices, that's over crevices, right?
Crevasses. Yeah.
Crevasses, of course, right? So you look, I mean, you fall in that thing, you're done, right? I mean, it's like they're not coming to find you. Like,
Um, some of them, yeah, but you're clipped into a rope. And that's another thing they beat into your head because you start going across them and you just think, oh, I don't need to clip in because it's kind of a hassle. You have to bend over, pick up the rope, clip in, plus a carabiner, and it's just easier just to grab the rope and run across. But you don't want to do that because some of them, if you fall, they're not getting you out.
wow. So it starts, there, I've seen enough of the documentaries and stuff. When you're kind of going like this, right? And the next thing you know, you're really kind of going vertical, right? Because that one face looks like it looks amazing. I mean, even from 15,000 feet below, you're, I mean, you're climbing a ladder, or there are hooks, or how do you get up that thing? I mean,
So different, some crevasses will have one ladder across. Some will have two, three, four ladders across, depending on the angle and all of that. But the last one that you're talking about is, imagine a waterfall and where the fall first starts at the top for that big drop. That's where I think there were five or six lashed together, and it's straight up and the icefall doctors build those. And, again, you're clipped in with an ascender. So if you fell, you're not going to fall very far. Um, and you just climb a ladder like you normally would. You've got your crampons on and you just make your way up the ladder.
so do these ladders have the warning stickers on them like we have in American expiration dates, or do you just say, oh well, I guess these guys are going to? I mean, like literally, you're thinking like, does anybody change these? Or I mean, what do they have like a schedule?
Well, a lot of them get changed just because they disappear in the middle of the night. That ice fall is always moving. It's a frozen river and it moves 24/7. So they're always replacing and upgrading and checking them. So yeah, they're not ignored once they're placed. The icefall doctors are really good about all of that.
So is that like the maintenance crew?
Mhm. That is their
Really?
one job.
So I've never thought about that till you and I were just sitting there. So I was like, so that's why I was asking about like, well, my ladder, my little 6 foot ladder has like all these stickers on it. Does yours not have that? I mean, it's like, geez, I mean,
Yeah, mine's so old. I'm sure they're all worn off.
yeah. So I guess they just like so the best contract is not only being with the tour guide, the Serpa, but the guy that supplies all the ladders in that country.
And yeah, and builds them,
And
supplies them, builds them.
that is just crazy to me. So I know we'll jump too quickly, but so you get to the top. Okay, this is number 7. Was it as good as you thought it was going to be?
Yeah, it was this huge weight was lifted off of me. And yeah, it was great. I spent an hour up there taking pictures, collecting a few rocks, and it was amazing.
Was it emotional? I mean, I would think I would get teary eyed if I did it. I mean,
Yeah, I envisioned this for years, picturing how it would go, that I would burst into tears,
yeah,
and I didn't. I just had this overwhelming sense of being grateful. Um,
really.
said the Lord's Prayer, like, thank you.
Yeah.
Um, Hugged my Sherpa, who I just adored, and just, had to make the phone call. My sat phone was broken by a fellow climber, so I borrowed someone else's sat phone, made a phone call, and just was so incredibly grateful and happy, and then just on cloud nine.
Who'd you call?
So I called my friend Kelly,
Okay.
Kelly Meyer, because once this other climber broke my phone, normally I always called all three of my kids. Um, and so I had to deal with her. I called her right before, I called her from the South call about, 13, 12 hours prior and said, I'm going to call you within so many hours and it'll be from the summit. So answer the phone. Because I needed her to then call all three of my kids, which she did. Um, And, that was great fun talking to her. And yeah, I was just so stoked.
Yeah, I guess, yeah, no one will ever know that feeling but you. I mean, I've done a few things, nothing like that. I always try to wish that other people could feel that. I can't imagine. I mean, that's like, there's not a lot of people that can say they've been to the top of that thing. You talk about a small club. Like, yeah, I think that's really cool that you did that. So you get down, and this is 2008, right? So you're
Yeah.
kind of done. You've checked the boxes. You're still a young lady, and you're like, huh? So I mean, you kind of like, what am I going to do now with the rest of my life? I mean, you kind of check the alpha box. I mean, that's kind of it. And then,
Well, it's not just about, doing the 7 summits,
right?
checking it off on some list and being done. I love being in the mountains. I don't care how high something is. You want to go climb something? The answer for me is usually yes, or any sort of adventure.
Uh huh. That is so cool. So, tell me about your book. So you got this written now. Is it being edited right now?
No, it was edited, gosh, a year ago, 2 years ago. So, since 2005, people are saying, "Oh, you should write a book. You should write a book." And so I had started, a lot of starts and stops. And during and someone finally said, "You need to stop hiring all these co-writers who aren't helping you, and just write it yourself." And so during COVID, I had no idea what I was doing. I've never written a book. I did. I sat down and I started. I was born on because I didn't know how else to start it, and just wrote it. And and finally, a friend said, "Oh, you should talk to my book agent." And I did, and she connected me with an amazing woman who put in the proper editing and form and structure, and is my co-writer, Britt Elders. And it just, the whole thing flowed from meeting those two women within a year. The book was ready. Um, as soon as she sent it out, someone picked it up right away. Mango Publishers. They've been
Wow.
incredible. And it's just been this amazing team of women who've made this thing happen.
And yours is
And
coming out June
June 25th, it comes out.
25th. Okay. I was gonna say 5th so June 25th. I mean, how exciting. I mean, I hope I get mine out this year. It's a lot harder than people realize.
It is. And then if you can find the right people, and I have a great agent for you if you need one, because I'm telling you, these women, Deborah Jacobs is my agent, and it was just, it was crazy how it just flowed and happened.
That is so exciting. Yeah. And is it your life story? Is that what it's about? Or what is, I mean, and obviously,
Britt took out kind of the first 21 years.
yeah,
We don't need that.
yeah.
I think my 80,000 words got down to 50,000 words, give or take. And mostly it's like how this crazy sporting, I mean, I was just a stay at home mom, not just most important job, but I was a stay at home mom, you know, going to the gym and raising kids. And now all of a sudden I'm traveling around the world doing these insane adventure races, bike races, ultra marathons, and climbing the 7 summits. And like, how'd that happen?
Yeah. Oh, that's so funny. Yeah. I mean, yeah, yeah. How did that happen? Right. I mean, especially, I mean, it's kind of, you started off as a little girl with your brother and you were being adopted. I mean, what a journey. I mean, just listening to what you've told me today and all this, I mean, what an inspiration. I mean, you're doing something, what you're doing is more important than climbing the mountains, is you're going to inspire other people to take journeys. And, you know, yours may be easier than others and yours may be harder than others, but what a great thing you're sending to people, that it's possible. And that's very inspiring.
Thanks. I hope that's what people take away from it, that it doesn't matter. You don't have to be some uber athlete. You don't have to be great at, you know, a lot of people don't start things because they think, oh, well, when this happens or that happens, or after this or that. And I was like, no, just sign up for it now. Leave the house now. And whatever that goal is, just take that first step today. Because, that saying someday is not a day of the week is so true. And all of a sudden, we're 70, 80 years old, regretting that we didn't do something. And I don't ever want to have those regrets.
Yeah, you won't. You won't. No, you got your trajectory's that way, and you're not that way. You're never gonna that. You're not a complacent. Just what little I've even spent time with you on. I mean, it's yeah. Heck, you've inspired me, and I've never had a kid, so I have 3 kids, but I didn't birth any of them. You know what I'm talking about. So I think that is so cool. I'm very excited for you. I hope it's I hope it's better than you ever imagined, and I truly mean that. I think that is so cool. I don't know why you
Thank
picked
you.
Nevada, however they say. My son lived. I'm just kidding. I know you have friends there, but it's not. I never go there and go, wow, this is such a great place.
It's funny. We all laugh about that because these two friends, they're from Malibu as well. And we all three look at each other and laugh and say, how did we end up here? And I truly don't believe I'm going to stay here too. I give it a year and I'll hopefully end up back in the mountains again.
I tell you what, I live in Virginia. Don't sell Virginia short. The Madison County, the Shenandoah Valley. Of course, ain't a lot of stuff hard to climb up there. I think it's one of the prettiest places in the world. It is
Now,
so pretty.
what's that trail? The long one?
Oh God, don't ask me that because I want to do
Oh,
that when I'm 60.
Appalachia.
The Appalachian Trail.
Appalachian.
So I want to do that. I'd like to at some point if I can get the time. I've got a buddy of mine that will do it with me, and I really that's kind of been the I've done most things I want to do. That is something is I've thought about forever, and it's
You
apparently
know,
it's not easy because apparently you can start in the north and you may get snow, but you can get out and you get to the heat, or you can start south and then you start in the spring, and by the time you get up there, you're in the snow. And then at any given point, there's certain times you can be in the snow, so you got to plan. And I have never hiked more than probably I think we did a small leg of that one time because we were bored one time out there with my kids at a mission trip, and it's like 6 miles, and it was actually fun. But I just don't like camping. I grew up camping. I just there's
yeah.
bears. I mean, we have bears where I live, and bears just scare the crap out of me. I don't know why. It'd be something about
Well,
like
because
a
it eats you. That's why.
yeah, yeah. Good point. Yeah, is the lady that climbed Mount Everest. Yeah. So as I end my day today with you, I really appreciate it. We're going to get together when your book gets out. Okay, in a couple of months, we'll catch up, see where you're at. That'll be really fun. If you would entertain that, that would be great.
I would
But
love that.
I always end with this question: Is do you think you were born, or do you think you were made?
Born.
Really, 100%.
I grew up in Flat La Mirada and I had to get to the mountains.
You are the first one that is stuck to born only. 100%.
Huh.
Yeah, I've had born or made. I've had several maids, but I think you're number 20, and none of them have been published yet. I think you're the first one to say born. I know you are because mine's born or made, right? And for me, I'm a sales guy, right? So I'm a gray guy. Nothing's black and white. You're the first one. Congratulations. That is so cool because there is no wrong answer.
Yay, I placed first at something.
Some
Yeah.
finally, there you go. In Nevada of all
Finally.
places, for Pete's sakes. Well, that's great. Well, thank you for your time. Okay. I really enjoyed it.
Oh, thank you so much.